Everyone who invested in Noelle Silva's stocks must be eating real good these last few chapters, because she is now literally her. Her newest transformation, Valkyrie armor dragon form, and especially her all-powerful attack in the recent chapter, Noelle has finally ascended to top-tier status. I'd say, if Wizard Queen was a power tier, she would already be there, and whether you agree with that hypothetical statement or not, just stick around with me till the end, because in this video, we're going to go over all of Noelle's forms and power-ups she has ever had in Black Clover. Starting from the very beginning, Noelle as a kid was just a crybaby, just raw material, but as Solid mentioned in chapter 373, even as a child, she showed hints of her mother's extraordinary magical power. Next, if we jump into the actual story, Noelle is introduced to us in Chapter 5 as a water magic user. It's nothing crazy. She's just like a water-type Pokemon who can generate and manipulate water however she pleases. And much like how water-type Pokemons use Water Gun, she used to attack by shooting water guns at her opponents. The aim was always hit or miss though, but she still already had the potential to grow stronger beyond her wildest imagination. Now, before we continue, how about giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel, guys? Here at AJ Anime, we make quick yet in-depth videos on all things anime, so just roll with it and I'll promise you a good time with each incoming video. Alright, so going back to the video, after Noelle's introduction chapter, we see her use creation magic along with her water magic in chapter 7. It's water creation magic, Sea Dragon's Nest, and it manifests a dome of multiple whirlpools that can defend against incoming attacks from every direction. Again, this is not a power-up, it's just us learning what Noelle can do. Then in Chapter 58, as Noelle continues to gain confidence in her abilities, she uses water creation magic, Sea Dragon's Cradle. This spell creates a large, smooth sphere of swirling water, which the Black Bulls use to travel into the sea. Now, the true extent of Noelle's progress after joining the Black Bulls doesn't become obvious until she begins to properly control her magic, like she did in Chapter 67, and especially when she uses water creation magic Sea Dragon's Roar against Veto in Chapter 68. The attack hits Veto like how Gojo's Hollow Purple hit Toji in Jujutsu Kaisen. Yami comments on it by stating that she killed her limits right there. Later in Chapter 87, we also see that Noelle becomes proficient enough to change the direction of the spell mid-flight even after it misses. Fast forward to Chapter 121, Noelle learns to use Mana Skin, a reinforcement magic technique that allows her to control and regulate her magical power more effectively. However, all of this is still nothing in comparison to what she shows us in Chapter 175 and beyond. After using Mana Skin to increase the scope of her physical abilities, she conjures up Sea Dragon's Roar against Kivin and even leaves her siblings flabbergasted. And in the very next chapter, as she fights alongside Noelle, we finally see the fruits of her training. It happens after Noelle apologizes to her in Chapter 176. Noelle gets pierced by Kivin from behind, and then the emotional weight of the situation as well as the severity of the situation causes Noelle to awaken like never before. That's right, she uses water creation magic, Valkyrie armor. As the story itself put it in Chapter 177, Noelle's vast latent magic, her hard work, not to mention the life-or-death crises she has overcome as a member of the Black Bulls, everything she had cultivated in addition to her strong desire to protect her siblings, all of this, everything, gave her the power to break out of the situation. It gave her the power to create Valkyrie armor. Just like that, Noelle pierces through Kivin's shield and defeats her. Of course, the Valkyrie armor or dress, whatever you want to call it, is just a beginning as well. As Noelle continues to surpass her limits, she learns variation of the armor. For example, in Chapter 252, thanks to Lolopechka's water spirit magic Ludic Sanctuary, the power of Noelle's magic is boosted, and she instantly develops a variation of the Valkyrie armor that is perfectly suited for underwater combat. Yup, this is where we're treated to Noelle's glorious mermaid form. She develops the tail of a fish, and it gives her the ability to swiftly move through water. I also find it rather amusing how she basically just evolves like a water-type Pokemon. Next, in Chapter 255, Noelle uses a point-blank Sea Dragon's Roar on Vonica. It's badass, but unfortunately, Vonica easily counters and destroys it with her Red Beast spell, and that's all we ever see of this epic attack. Now, after her training in the Heart Kingdom, Noelle becomes able to use the Heart Kingdom's unique magic technique to both increase the size and power of her water magic spells. She gains the ability to manipulate real water. Yes, as we see in Chapter 284, she starts using true water magic. And as for the results of her Heart Kingdom training itself, the payoff happens in chapter 295. In this chapter, Noelle uses spirit magic to summon Undine, the water spirit, as a Saint Stage mage. The timing was crucial because Undine's contract with Lolopechka was temporarily disabled due to the curse magic weakening Undine's power. This is why Undine takes refuge in Noelle's grimoire and becomes able to form a contract with her. Undine fuses into her Valkyrie armor, which in turn awakens another variation of the Valkyrie armor. It's called Saint Valkyrie armor, and it looks beautiful. I mean, just check out the aura. Simply surreal. Plus, thanks to the Saint Stage spell, it's super effective against devils. Ultimately, thanks to this transformation, Noelle was not only able to match Vonica, she was able to surpass her even though she was at 100%. By chapter 303, Noelle pierces through Magicula's heart. Yup, the girl destroys the heart of the highest-ranking devil. That is insane. This was a one-time thing though, because after her contract with Undine, Noelle could no longer access spirit magic or reach the spirit stage again. But you bet the experience from Saint Valkyrie armor was not lost, because in chapter 359, we are treated to a meeting between Noelle Silva and the dragon sea god Leviathan. The dragon was actually looking for a powerful water mage to form a contract with, and of course, considering Noelle's prior experience with Undine, she was the perfect option. Kohono knew this, and so she brought Noelle to the dragon, and the two of them formed a contract. Their partnership is mutually beneficial. Just as Noelle needed Leviathan's power to become stronger, Leviathan needed a truly skilled water mage like Noelle to do something about the threat of Judgment Day. And with that, we see the greatest variation of the Valkyrie armor. When Noelle assimilates Leviathan into her Valkyrie armor to surpass her resurrected mother, she awakens a new transformation, called Valkyrie Armor Dragon Form. The fight starts off in chapter 360 with Sea Dragon's Roar, but it doesn't really take off until the two most recent chapters. Guys, in chapter 359, Noelle declares that she'll surpass her mother, and in chapter 373 is where we'll see whether it happens or not. Of course, the story of the last few chapters is so much more than just power scaling, but power scaling is definitely a part of it. Chapter 372 features a one-on-one between Noelle and her legendary mother. The fight treats us to water spells such as Sea Dragon God's Vortex and Sea Dragon God's Tail, but overall, Noelle struggles to keep up. Good old Solid jumps in to push Noelle away because she was inches away from getting pierced by Paladin Aesir. In the final panel of chapter 372, the four siblings stand together to put their reincarnated mother down. It is a surreal moment. This leads us to chapter 373, where Noelle tells Noelle that because she has always had extraordinary latent magic that she couldn't control, she ended up developing a habit where she just unconsciously holds back while casting her spells. Noelle then adds to this and tells Noelle to pour all her magic as well as the power of Leviathan into one singular attack without holding back, and then unleash it in all its destructive glory. He makes it clear that this is the only way they can win. Noelle then buys her time. Meanwhile, Solid and Nebra stand by her side to support her spells. She responds to this by genuinely letting it all out. The flow of her magic is so strong that Solid and Nebra's bodies can't keep up, but they persevere. It's their way of showing remorse for all the horrible ways they treated her. Solid comes out and says it. He loved their mother but hated her because she was the spitting image of their mother. He was jealous because Noelle reminded him of their mother's legendary magic power. Ultimately, both Solid and Nebra apologize to Noelle just as the attack charges up. The next thing you know, the single greatest water-type attack in the entire story is unleashed straight on Paladin Aesir. It pierces through her defense and destroys her out of existence. In her final moments, Aesir's true self is proud because although her children took the long way around, they're finally starting to look like a family. Now, going back to Noelle's ultimate dragon attack that was strong enough to one-shot reincarnated, boosted-up Aesir Silva. Guys, I'm sure all of us understand how big of a deal this attack was. Aesir was nearly immortal, had access to the devil's magic, and had incredible magic power reserves, all thanks to being a paladin, and yet Noelle's attack still obliterated her. It was cathartic. But the crazy thing is that although this was Noelle's best magic added with the sea god's might itself, she still might not have shown us the full extent of what she and her dragon form can do. Yes, exactly. This may be her latest power-up, but we may also see something even more impressive in the future. Now, to give you a brief recap, Noelle starts off as a water plus creation magic user who can't control her magic at all. But by chapter 68, she begins to get a sense of it. By chapter 121, she learns Mana Skin. By chapter 176, she uses Valkyrie armor. In Chapter 252, she develops the Mermaid variation. In Chapter 295, she develops the Saint Valkyrie armor. And in Chapter 359, she forms a contract with the sea god and uses her dragon form. In the latest chapter, we see the true extent of what her magic can do in this dragon form. In Chapter 359, she said that she'd surpass her mother, and in Chapter 373, it did happen. She defeated Aesir, a paladin, and now she might as well be a cut above even Yami. Heck, she may very well be in the same tier as Yuno and Asta. What do you think? What will we see from our girl next? I'm sure you have a lot to add to this, so let's continue the conversation in the comments section down below. And if you want me to make a video like this on other characters, just make sure you start spamming that like button, guys. Of course, also subscribe to our channel, AJ Anime, and hit the bell icon so that you are the first to know whenever I cook up something new and exciting. Black Clover has been legendary lately, and it becomes clear with each passing chapter that the end is near. Well then, guys, I'd say, until next time, guys.